Hello, Year 7s. In today's lesson, our objective is to understand what a particle model is. Our success criteria is to state that everything is made of particles in a particular arrangement, to draw different particle models for different states of matter, to explain using particle models why something is a solid, a liquid, or a gas. Your first activity is to complete the retrieval practice. There are 6 questions and an extension in order for you to challenge yourself. Please give yourself around 7 minutes for this activity. Pause the video and do this now. So, copper carbonate is a solid at room temperature and has the formula CuCO3. Which elements are present in the solid? Copper, carbon, and oxygen. What is the state of water at room temperature? That would be liquid. Well done. What is the formula for water? And I know you've written H2O. Sulfur is a solid at room temperature. What is the symbol for sulfur? That would be S. MgO is a solid at room temperature. What elements are present in this component? Mg would be magnesium and O would be oxygen. Number 6 says H2SO4 is a liquid at room temperature. How many atoms are present? That would be 7. Your extension task says O2 is a gas at room temperature. Oxygen is a diatomic molecule. What do you think diatomic means? You can see the prefix di at the beginning of that word, and you can actually see the word atom in that second bit of the word. Therefore, diatomic means to exist always as a pair of atoms. Fantastic effort, Year 7s. Well done. In our next activity, you will be asked to draw how you think the particles are arranged in a solid, a liquid, and a gas. If you will recall from our previous lesson, we had images of particles that were arranged in these different components. So, using a circle for your particles, draw your particles nice and big. Each particle should be the same size. Don't draw more than 20 particles, and draw the particles first, then draw your box around them. So you will be doing this for all 3, for solid, a liquid, and a gas. Please pause the video and do these now. Right, you should have something that looks like this. Okay, so for a solid, you should have your molecules quite closely stuck together, very tightly in a regular pattern. The molecules move around very little and have low amount of energy. If you add energy by heating it up, the molecules will move around faster and slide against each other, and it will be a liquid, which would be what number 2 is. As you can see, the molecules are looser. Okay, so your job now is to correct your version in your book or on a piece of paper. All right, and as an extension activity, how about having a go at answering the question, how would you describe the way that particles are arranged? Please aim to use around 4 sentences in your response. Right, so to recap, if we have a solid, the particles tend to be very close. There is a regular pattern to it, as you can see. They tend to vibrate around a fixed position and they have low energy. Okay, the reason why they tend to vibrate around a fixed position is because of their strong attractions for one another. However, if it's a liquid, then the particles are close, but they're not as close as a solid. They are randomly arranged, they're not fixed as in the previous one, and they move around each other. Therefore, they tend to have greater energy. And if they're a gas, the particles are far apart, they're randomly arranged, and they move quickly in all directions. And these tend to have the highest energy. So in your written response, those are the sorts of things you could have included. If you've not got this information, you might want to pause the video and do this now. Okay, let's have a quick game. So we have got 4 images on our screen, yeah, and your job is to choose which letters represent a solid. Quickly shout or write the answers down now. Okay, right? You should have had A and D. All right, so the particles in a solid vibrate in a fixed position. Next one would be liquid. Which letters represent a liquid? Please quickly shout or write your responses down. The answer would be A. And finally, which letters represent a gas? And the answer would be B, C, and D, because they're so loosely arranged. Okay, now here's a challenge task for you. Please pause the video and draw the diagram. Based on what we've said so far, let's see how good you will be at recapping, all the different components of a solid, a liquid, or a gas. Using the images as a starting point, your first job is to label which diagram would be a solid, a liquid, and a gas. And then you pick words from your keywords from the left, and you will be using those to answer whether or not what the arrangement of particles are like, and the distance between them, and the movement of the particles. Please pause the video and do this now. Well done, Year 7s. You should have something that looks like this. Please use your green pen to green pen your work. Okay, so the first one was a solid, the second one was a liquid, and the third one was a gas. Solid are regular in their arrangement of particles, whereas liquid tend to be random, and gas as well is quite random. Particles in a solid are very close. Particles in a liquid are close, but not as close as that in a solid. And particles in a gas are far apart. Particles in a solid, they vibrate about a fixed position, whereas particles in a liquid move around each other, and particles in a gas move quickly in all directions. Right, our final activity is to list the 2 properties of a solid, 2 properties of a liquid, and 2 properties of a gas. You can shout them, you can write them, you can brainstorm them. Let's see how you did. Okay, so a solid has fixed shape, fixed volume, cannot flow. Properties: no fixed shape, fixed volume, and can flow. And no fixed shape for the gas, no fixed volume, and they can flow. Well done, Year 7s. Have a wonderful day.